If you want to plan for the future, we can help your dreams come true. A degree that gets you the right job. It's affordable and easy for you. Asnuntuck Community College. Friendly people that know who you are. Asnuntuck Community College. A college so close that could take you so far.
Hello, welcome to Changing Lives, Asnuntuck's monthly program highlighting different activities, programs, and goings-on at Asnuntuck Community College. Tonight we're going to be discussing our Registered Medical Assistant Allied Health Program. We have two guests with us tonight. We have Michelle Howard-Swan, who's the Allied Health Coordinator at Asnuntuck, teaches in our Registered Medical Assistant program, as well as in some of our other programs. And we have Lisa Gonzalez, who is a recent graduate with a certificate from Asnuntuck in Registered Medical Assistant.
Yes.
And you're continuing on for the Associate in Science degree as well.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's
Great.
correct.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Changing Lives, we focus on different aspects each month, and this month we're going to be talking about one of our credit programs, Registered Medical Assistant. It's a unique program because it started as a non-credit program and has moved over to what we call the credit side of the house, which gives students some different opportunities, and we'll be talking about that as we go forward. So Michelle, you've been with the college for a little while.
Yes.
Can you tell us how long?
For 14 years.
14 years, wonderful.
Yes.
And what brought you to Asnuntuck, and what did you start doing at Asnuntuck?
Well, I have been a medical assistant since I was 16, so that
Wow.
was just a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
And I was a program director at another school, and not a college. So when the opportunity came at Asnuntuck to join the team, I jumped on it and created a registered medical assistant program for them 12 years ago as a non-credit program.
So you initially created the program?
Yes.
Based on your job experience and the program, the training you had at the time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what did that program look like when it started, and how long did it take till it, really took off?
Well, the program started out pretty small. We started out with 5 students, and we ran it only Saturdays.
Wow.
And from there, it grew to about 30, 35 students. And we were running it full-time during the day.
Okay. And we'll talk in a few minutes about moving it over to the credit side,
Right.
what that means. But some of the folks watching may wonder, and Lisa, you may have wondered this when you first looked at it, what is a registered medical assistant or a medical assistant? And some schools call the program that. So do you want to explain that a little bit, Michelle?
Sure. A medical assistant is really the physician's assistant. They work side by side with the physician, and they take part in the clinical care of the patient. So they bring people from the waiting room, bring them in the back, take their blood pressure, do all their vitals, take their medical histories. They also do a lot of administrative skills, patient scheduling, file maintenance, as well as prescription management and medical records management. So they do a lot, although most people think we just take them into rooms, smile at them, and make them wait.
Right, or take their blood pressure and then say the doctor will be with you.
Correct,
So,
yes.
So would a registered medical assistant give a shot to a patient, an immunization shot or a flu shot, something like that?
Yeah, and in most states, yes.
Okay.
Medical assistants can give injections.
Great.
They can draw blood, and they can do EKGs.
Okay.
So a lot of higher
Great.
skills.
Great. Different, though, than a nurse. A lot of people might ask, what's the difference between a registered medical assistant and a nurse? I know that there's different programs for that in colleges.
Yeah, different education, and a
Okay.
nurse needs a license. So
Okay.
where medical assistants have certifications.
Certification.
Right.
Okay, great. So, Lisa, did you know what a medical assistant was before you looked into the program? Did you look at other programs?
Yes,
or?
I did look into the program.
Yeah.
I have both the backgrounds. I did my nursing, but I also did my secretary, so it combines both of the fields, which I love. So when I decided to go back, I stayed with my son. He's 7 years old, and he was 7. And I decided to go back. My daughter's going to college. She wants to go to UConn. And I stayed at home, I was a mom, a stay-at-home mom, and I was undecided, either secretarial or my nursing, and that combines both fields, the billing and coding, which I already did, the accounting, the administration,
Wow.
And then the nursing, which I love.
Now, had you had some medical secretarial training or just
No,
general
just
secretarial?
general secretarial.
Okay, so this program was more specific to a
More
medical
specific,
setting,
yes.
doctor's office.
The
something like that.
documentation, the billing, the coding. Yes.
Okay, okay. So, Michelle, for 12 years, the program was credit-free, and sounds like it was built up well, up to 35 students, running it full-time.
Yes.
Why a credit program? Can you talk us through that transition a little bit?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Well, we had our program assessed by Charter Oak State College. So it's a credit assessment where subject matter experts look at the curriculum. After looking at the curriculum and the assessments, they came to the conclusion that the program was worth 33 college credits.
33 credits, which is a
33
full certificate.
That would have, yeah, that's a full certificate. So based on that, we thought, well, that's just about half of an associate's degree. So it might be a wise choice to move it to the credit side. And now the students have the advantage of being able to have financial aid for the program,
Okay.
which is always a big help.
Sure. How did students pay in the past? They paid out of pocket or would have to take out a loan?
They would pay out of pocket. They would take out a loan. They may get special workforce development grants.
Okay.
But, you know, those come at certain times of year, and they definitely don't have a lot of them to give out.
Right. And the certificate program, was it about a year long? I'm trying to remember.
In the past, it was about 9 months.
9 months. Okay.
We also had a part-time option, which took 2 years.
Okay. So if a student was doing a loan, this was before financial aid, or they got some workforce development money, in 9 months they could get trained, go out in the workforce, and they were getting hired and paying back, earning enough to pay back those loans and do that, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I know that part of the program involves an externship and working with companies or with doctors' offices.
Yep.
So Charter Oak evaluated the program, and you said 33 credits.
Yes.
And then as academic dean, I know that we did some paperwork to bring it forward. We had to go to the Board of Regents from the state to get permission to offer it as a credit program.
Right.
Did we have to change anything at the time?
We did have to
thought we
change
did.
things, yes, because we had to change the program itself to just make it a different program. So we changed the length of the program, changed the structure, and we added a few classes.
Okay. And if I'm remembering, there was a psychology class that we added?
A psychology class was added and a pharmacology class was added.
Pharmacology, right, which is all about the different pills and drugs.
Yes.
That's pharmacology, right?
Right.
Okay. I don't have an RMA background, so Lisa can teach me.
Doing pretty well.
Okay.
Yes.
So we went forward, and I remember going through the process to have it approved as a credit certificate. Again, 33 credits. And once we started advertising that, about a year ago?
Just about a year ago, right.
Demand seemed overwhelming?
The demand was overwhelming 1 year ago as well as today.
It was wonderful, yeah.
Yes.
So other colleges have similar programs, but it seemed like when we made it a credit program, we certainly didn't lose students. We may have gained some new students.
Right.
And Lisa, you applied at that time, right? About a year ago.
I applied about a year ago. I did apply because it was on a list for certificate. And I remember going to Asnuntuck, and they said it's going to be credits. And I said, thank God, because I do know the work that an RMA does. And I do think it should be credited, college credited. So I was one of the lucky ones. I was part of the first group, blessed to be in that group, and it was great. And then they offer the tuitions, you know, the state tuition plus the Pell Grant and all of that, which was great.
Some students can qualify for federal aid, like a Pell Grant. Some students may qualify for some state aid. There's different types of financial aid. That's one big difference, is that once the program is on the credit side, it opens up federal financial aid to support.
A lot of help.
What were your first few days like when you came back? You had been in school before.
I've been in school 20 years before.
Oh, big change coming back.
I knew it was going to be different.
Yeah.
I'm an adult now. The struggle with my kids, like, mommy's going back to college.
Sure. You said you have a 7-year-old.
Yes,
so
I have and my daughter, she's 17. But they were amazed. They said, Mommy's going to college. Wow.
Great.
I was a little scared, overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be with all these kids. I thought, you know, when you go to Asnuntuck. But when you go, you see the diversity of different kinds of age and people. and the professors are awesome. They're very open, their schedules. They're very patient with us. They make sure that you do understand what we're talking about, because everything has changed. When I took my nursing in, 22 years ago,
Things have changed.
everything has changed. I'm in another state, so everything, you know, but it turned out great. I don't want to leave Asnuntuck.
Oh, well, you don't have to leave,
I don't have
but you
to.
need to
Well,
work.
I'm not, yes, but
Yeah.
it's been a great experience.
Good.
And my daughter's coming to Asnuntuck, and then she's going to get a transfer to UConn. So,
Oh, wonderful.
and yes.
Nice.
So I remember following a study that looked at community college classrooms, and there were some traditional age students and some non-traditional. I'm not going to say younger and older because we don't talk about age, right? But it was interesting. The traditional age students were nervous that the non-traditional age students had life wisdom and skills that they were bringing to the class, and they were intimidated by them, and the non-traditional older students are intimidated by the younger students, thinking that they had technology skills and they had come right from school. So it's interesting, no matter which side you sit on.
Yes, I remember.
It's okay to be nervous your first few classes.
And I remember the orientation. I was with all these kids. I mean, I say kids because,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and they asked like 2 different questions, and you have to introduce yourself, and I just said I've been home with my son.
Yeah.
And I was scared, and they asked like 2 different questions, and everybody went. But then they asked one of the mature questions, and I knew what they were talking about, and I felt so.
Good.
And they
Good.
looked at me, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the joys of a community college, is having all different, diverse students.
Yes.
So.
We do. We have all age ranges.
Yeah. And has the program always been different age ranges?
It has
have you
always
found?
been.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So different people are drawn to the career, to the program.
All sorts
Yeah.
of people. Maybe people changing their careers, or people that want to move into a different sector of healthcare. Yeah, we get a lot of different people from all walks of life.
Good. So Lisa, would you say Asnuntuck is welcoming to the adult student? We
Yes,
try to be.
definitely.
So, yeah, good.
Like I said, I don't want to leave, and it's like a family. And then when you're more mature, the younger ones, they rely on you, and you're like, come on, you could do it. And we had the 21s just coming from high school.
Sure.
And we're like a family. And I always say, if you're 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, you're family.
Sure. You
So
spend a lot of time
we always
together,
keep in communication, and we were there for each other.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. So we talked about the program starting as credit-free, moving over to credit. What types of classes are in the program? For those people wondering, if I come to Asnuntuck and I'm interested in this program, can I go part-time? Do I go full-time? How many, you mentioned hours and days, but what types of things would they do? And we'll start with the certificate, because a lot of people start with that. They gain their skills, they can pass their exam, and then they can work and then move on to the degree. So can you talk us through that, Michelle?
Sure.
Yeah.
The certificate is, it's a 3-semester certificate. So if they start in the fall, 3 consecutive semesters, the certificate is complete.
Okay.
That certificate consists of science classes like anatomy and physiology, medical terminology. You have 3 clinical lab classes where you learn all the skills that you need to do your job, your patient care.
Okay.
And then there's administrative classes where you learn things like front office duties, like scheduling and file registration and billing and coding. So that's the certificate. So in 3 semesters, that's achieved. For an additional 22 credits, general education credits, you can get an associate's degree.
Okay. And that's the degree that you're now working towards.
Yes,
And
which
those
is
are
awesome.
those are general education, which are courses like your Englishes, your math.
Then one math, one English, the
Your
basic,
broader,
which
right.
is great.
Right.
I
So
love it.
certificates tend to be very career focused, whereas an associate's degree has to have those general courses, because it's considered the first level of college degrees, right? So you mentioned medical coding and billing, and that always intrigued me. And I know one of my neighbors did a program in medical coding with you, I think, right? Yes. What's the difference between that program and this course? So do these students get an introduction to it? How does that work?
Our students, the medical assistants, do get an introduction. So it's basic billing and basic coding.
Okay.
Where if you took a medical billing and coding class, then
Right.
you are responsible for all the revenue of that physician.
Okay, so a physician sees a patient, they check down checkup, the person had a sore throat, this, that, whatever. Then what happens?
The biller would then generate the bill and send it to the insurance company.
And there's a code for every single
There's
thing,
a code
right?
for everything,
Everything.
yes.
Yes. How many, Lisa, do you know?
Ooh,
A
it's
lot.
endless.
A lot.
A lot
But
of
you have to
codes.
remember, and do I remember correctly that it's all becoming computerized, all the coding and billing, or we're moving in that direction?
Computers are a big part of healthcare
Yeah.
now, but you
Right.
know, the actual learning process, you need that book. You have to
Sure.
learn it the old-fashioned way.
Sure. Okay. So you mentioned the certificate program, and you said there's office procedures, there's insurance and coding, there's clinical courses, there's a course in law and ethics for health careers.
Yes.
Course
Is
in
that
law
something that we had
ethics.
to add for the credit, or was that always part?
That's
it was,
always
it was
been.
built in.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And psychology, pharmacology. And then there's an externship, medical assistant. Can you tell us what that's all about?
Yeah, that's a 225-hour externship in a physician's office. So that's
Okay.
your real on-the-job training, performing the duties of a medical assistant under the supervision of a physician.
225 hours, and how long of a window? Does it depend on what?
It really
the
depends
student?
on what the schedule is. Most of the time they're starting out because they're still in school, in class, and they go part-time 3 days a week, and then once their in-class training is done, then they go full-time. So it would take approximately 2 months.
Okay. And that's done in the third semester,
In
the final
third
semester,
semester,
after you've
yes.
learned all the coding and billing and all the
All
patient
that
techniques
stuff,
and all
yeah,
that, all those things. Lisa, how was your externship? Can you tell us about it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
And I was telling Michelle that in that office, he's a very renowned doctor. And I loved it because everything that I was taught, I had incorporated in his office.
Okay.
So I did everything, including the billing and coding.
Oh.
And we were, we would email Michelle, I'm doing this exactly. And it's like that. The classes are just what's going on right now. It was intense. I'm not gonna lie. It was intense.
How many hours a week did you do? Do you
I did the
remember?
Monday, Wednesdays,
3
and
days.
Fridays because then we had a clinical on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I was taking 2 classes. Plus, I did the summer. I
Oh,
did.
wow.
I did summer. I was fortunate to do the summer, and because I wanted to finish, I was excited, and it was very intense. And the office is an office that takes after hours. So
Oh,
we were
okay.
there after hours, but the experience was awesome, was great, and
And were
we
you
learned.
able to schedule? I mean, you were able to schedule, but was it hard to schedule with around your family and your children and those things, or were you able to do it because it was only a couple months?
And it's flexible hours because
Okay.
when you do go, you talk about the hours.
Yep.
So I would take some days, and then some of the days, and like a Monday or Wednesday, sometimes I took the night shift.
Right. So because they had after
Because
hours.
they had after hours,
patient
which was
care.
great, and the volume of patients was.
Yeah, great. And is this someone that other students have had for externships?
Yes.
Yeah, and they're a happy customer of
Yes,
Asnuntuck? Okay,
yes.
we send them our best and they do well?
Yeah, they do,
Good.
and they keep asking for more.
Oh, good, good.
Yes.
Now, Lisa, when we were waiting to come in tonight, you said you're also doing the phlebotomy program. Can you
Yes.
explain, first of all, what that is and what made you think to do it?
Yes, I wanted to do the phlebotomy because as a RMA, we are allowed to, draw blood, but in different states. And
It's different.
since,
Yep.
sometimes you could be in one state and then you could move to another,
Sure.
But it was a great opportunity. It's covered in my case, under the SNAP program. So I
Okay.
couldn't say no. They
Yep.
were paying for it. They were helping me as a single mom that I am.
Great.
And if it just gives me more on my RMA program. And if I don't, just as an example, if if I don't work as a medical assistant, I could work as a phlebotomist and EKG tech. So I'm
Okay,
just
great.
giving more to my education.
Sure. You're just
which
building
is
up your
building up because it's
skills.
in demand. The
right.
health is in demand.
And when I go give blood with the American Red Cross, that's a phlebotomist who's taking my blood, is that?
They started out as a phlebotomist.
They started off?
Yes.
Okay. Did they do more than that?
They did a little
okay.
more,
All right.
but you have to start out as
I
a
wasn't sure.
phlebotomist.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But when you go to Quest and all these places, those
Yep.
are phlebotomists.
To a diagnosis lab. That's phlebotomist is the person taking your blood and doing it.
And then you have the phlebotomist that goes to the home, to the patients. Those are phlebotomists too.
Right,
And I did
right.
visiting nurse, so it's like everything.
Well,
that I
you're going to
like.
have a lot on your
Yes.
plate there when you start applying for work.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Now, this year you're going to be doing the general education courses along with phlebotomy, so you're staying busy.
The phlebotomy, I'm staying busy. Plus,
Yep.
my first interview is on Thursday.
Oh, wonderful. Good luck.
So I'm gonna be
Yeah.
busy, but I like it
Good.
because I think you have to love what you do. The nursing and
Yeah.
the medical field, you have to have the empathy that you love
Sure.
actually what you do.
And
I
you
love
do.
it.
You
yes,
do.
I do.
And the externship helped prove that to you.
And
right?
the externship helped, and since it was a general, so we had all the ages. So
Yeah.
I had that experience too with the children, all different ages.
Oh, like a general practice.
Yes,
so you
he's a
could
general
see,
practice, so we had all the different diversity of ages,
Oh, wow.
languages, and it did help because I'm bilingual, so
Sure. That's another important
great.
skill.
that's
yeah.
another important skill.
Yep.
So phlebotomy is a credit-free program, meaning we haven't made it a credit program. Maybe we will. We'll see. But we have some other credit-free programs too, right? For those, especially for those interested in allied health.
Right, we do.
What are the other ones that we have?
Well, we have a variety of credit-free programs. So we have a patient care tech program. That's
Okay.
a short-term direct care training program that starts in September.
Okay.
We have dental assisting,
Okay.
sterilization technician.
Now, dental
And-
assisting, that's different than dental hygiene.
Different,
Right.
right? So you assist the dentist.
Right.
So
Okay.
not the hygienist.
Not
They
the
kind of work
hygienist.
on their own.
Right. Just to be clear.
Yeah,
for people
that's
watching.
right.
Yeah.
That's good. And then and those start in October. We have a personal trainer course that
Okay.
will start in the fall.
Oh, great.
And massage therapy. That's a great
Okay.
class that will start in November.
Okay. And these programs run how often?
They run just about twice a year.
Okay.
So
people
fall.
can join fall or spring?
Yeah. So there'll be fall starts and there'll be spring starts.
Okay.
But it's not your typical semester start. It's usually a little bit later
A little bit later.
than the
right.
semester.
And I think we have an open house coming up
We
in
do.
August here.
August
for-
23rd.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, the open
and then we do
house.
one before each semester,
We do.
right? Okay.
Yes.
What about esthetician? I always, so when people drive by Asnuntuck, they might see that and wonder what that is.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm no esthetician expert.
That's fine, but
But that's skincare.
skincare.
So
okay.
they do have really great classes on skincare
Yeah.
and nails.
And nails. Okay.
Yes.
Great.
And we run clinics. We run skincare clinics
Okay.
and massage therapy clinics where the public can come in and for a very, very small fee, they can get their services from the students.
Wow.
Helps the students out as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's really good.
So what would, if you could add a new program, what would it be? Have you thought about that? To put you on the spot, Michelle.
Yeah, that is,
If we could add a brand new allied health program. Or Lisa, is there a program you'd like to see at Asnuntuck? Anything, you have so much on in your portfolio.
I know.
That's okay if you
I
can't think of
I
one.
think
didn't-
I think our newest program that we just added was PCT. That has never run.
The personal care
Personal care tech, yes.
tech.
So
Okay.
you have to be a CNA for that program.
Okay.
And you learn advanced patient care skills, EKG monitoring, and phlebotomy. So I think that is really one that should be pretty successful.
And for someone doing that, what type of work would they do? Where would they work? What type of job?
They would work in the hospitals.
hospital,
Yeah,
okay.
as a patient care tech.
Okay.
Yes.
And do we have relationships with area hospitals for different programs?
We do.
Yeah.
We have a lot of affiliations with area businesses and hospitals. One of the great things, if we go right back to RMA for a minute, these students that are here at Asnuntuck being trained, they can take the national certification exam offered by the American Medical Technologists, and that will give them the certification of RMA, which allows them to work in hospitals, doctors' offices in any state in the United States. So this is a national cert. all of our programs at Asnuntuck for healthcare training are linked to a national exam.
To a national exam and a national certification. So sometimes people ask about accreditation, and on the credit side, we're accredited by the New England Association of Schools and Colleges, but for the more career programs, they're linked to certification.
Right.
Right, which is kind of like licensure, but the state doesn't issue a license, right? If you pass the exam, you can work in that field.
Yeah, most of them are voluntary, but it shows that you've rose to a higher standard.
Yes.
And employers want to see that.
They want to see that now.
That's
That's my
important.
personal experience right now. All the places that there's a lot of demand for medical assistant, but they want that certification.
They want to see the certification. So you're in the process of getting your certification?
Sir. Yes, sir, next month.
Oh, next month,
Take my
great.
test.
And obviously the certification is based on all the material that you've covered in the classes and that you've reinforced in the externship and elsewhere.
Yes.
Great. Well, it sounds like you've done an awful lot. I think you're going to do just fine.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're staying at Asnuntuck.
Yes.
That's great, and we'll continue to have you as long as you'd like to be with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Obviously, we have a lot of folks who come to change their career or build a career, and then as they move on, continue to take courses for professional development.
Yes.
So, yeah, is there anything else we'd like to add? We think we have a couple minutes left.
Well, you mentioned job placement, and RMA is really a good program to find employment. So we have over 90% job placement rates.
So if people are taking a break or putting, they're raising a family and they're worried, do I have time to do this? But will this lead to a job? It will.
It will.
Yes.
There's always a need, more need every year. More doctors come out of medical school every year. That means they need a lot more medical assistants.
Right.
So we're not expecting that need to drop.
Right. And as the population gets bigger and older, we're going to need more medical care. Right?
That is true.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Great. So I think we've covered most of registered medical assistant. I'm just trying to see if there's anything we've left out. Is there anything people should know that if they don't like something, that wouldn't be a good program for them if they're trying to decide? Is there any skill that sometimes people are surprised by?
Probably phlebotomy.
The
That's
phlebotomy.
what I was going to say.
Yeah.
The phlebotomy
The blood work?
the one thing people are afraid of.
Okay.
Right.
Lisa, were you afraid?
I wasn't afraid because I come from the health, but in the new class that we just started, you have people that have never seen
done that.
a needle, or they have the phobia, and
Yeah.
it's turned out great. It's a very enthusiastic group, and they are I'm in shock because I have the experience, but most of them came from different.
Are they most people able to work through that though? If they've chosen that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they like it.
Okay. Great. So thank you both for being on the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks for having me.
Sounds like you've had a successful certificate. I wish you well in your associate's degree.
Thank you.
And I think that will wrap things up for this evening. So thank you again for watching Changing Lives, Asnuntuck's cable access community TV show. Thank you.
Asnuntuck Community College, a college so close it can take you so far. Asnuntuck Community